Derek Cash Cole. You know what I mean? We got everybody got to be ready. He got to make a comeback. We want, but we got a lot of topics to discuss today. UFC 315 coming up this Saturday, plus more, giving it to you live, real, that trill talk. So we starting off top. Below and JDM.
Oh, Bilal JDM. Man, honestly, there hasn't really been too much hype surrounding this fight. Like the UFC is trying to do it with like their embedded series and stuff like that, but beyond that, I'm not seeing anybody really talking that much about this fight. There's more news about Bilal pissing off other fighters though, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, but what about you? How you feel about the fight? Do you like the matchup or what?
Matchups are right, I guess. Like in my real honest opinion, I don't know how they set up this JDM. They got JDM all the way up here fighting for the title. Probably because everybody else in the middleweight is kind of either hurt, recently fight, or they got him shelved for like another fight coming down the pipeline. But in terms of this fight, like how it is with most Bilal Muhammad fights, I think it's just going to be a complete wrestling grind as per usual. And I'll see Bilal Muhammad coming out of this with decision once again for like the 13th time out of the 15 times he's fought.
Going on in Palestine? And I feel like that's where he gets the hate. And they took his flag off and such. But the thing is, here's why I feel like when he fought Leon Edwards, for example, everyone was a boring fight. Nothing about that fight was boring. If he outstruck who's the general voted consensus top striker of the weight class and out grappled him and put on a beautiful display of a combination of the arts, right? And then if somebody still wants to argue my point, Bilal Muhammad has what, 12 decisions? Guess who else has 12 decisions in welterweight? The most beloved welterweight ever, which is GSP. Nobody complained about him. And if you look at it, you have a white Canadian and then you have an Arab Muslim. Is that a fucking coincidence? That for decision people and one gets hated on by people and a promotion and one gets loved by people in a promotion? Nobody can say that GSP was any more exciting than Bilal. And to me, I think Bilal's more exciting than GSP because when I watch Bilal fight Sean Brady or do these things and he's dominating these people, I'm like, cool. And I see his progression and everything like that. And he strikes way more than GSP ever did. He's willing to stand with people more. Because I remember some GSP fights, I would be like, oh my God, this is boring. I remember feeling like that. I never feel like that in the Bilal fight because I'm watching what he's doing to dominate these people both standing on the feet. So I don't even feel it's a fair shake. But to get to the JDM matchup, I agree with you, D. I don't think it should be JD. You can't be coming off of more of a year. I don't care what your record is, who you beat, anything. You can't be coming off of a year off the bench. And this is why the thing I don't like about it being more entertainment than sport. Because Dana White, he talks about this thing about like, oh, we need AI to fix the pound for pound list and the top 10 list. It needs to be legitimate, which I agree. But at the same time, why are you still giving 50-50 purses to people? You're the only combat sports that does so. You should be giving 100% purse to somebody like every other combat sport. And then you want the rankings to be legit, but you don't want like it to be in chronological order. Like you're not giving Saruki in the next shot when you ordered it because he got injured. People get injured, right? And then after that, you're giving JDM this shot when if he's coming off the bench in my mind, the person that should be getting the next shot is Buckley. Should be fighting him this card. If you look at who's doing what in the division latest, and he's coming off a win off of Garbrandt. When you look at the rest of the division, that's who I think it should be. So you can't ride the fence, as I like some females like to do. They like to play the middle thing. You can't do that. You gotta have one or the other. And as far as the matchup goes, JDM works very well on the front foot, and I think he has the better striking, obviously, and more power. And Bilal does have this habit of having his chin in the air, but I've never seen JDM work well off the back foot, and Bilal never goes backwards. And then JDM is proven way too easy to take down. And when I was watching the countdown, I saw this thing of his coach, JDM's coach, being like, "Oh, we're gonna wear him out in the grappling exchanges," and I was like, "Are you smoking that new Australian hookah? Your guy's gonna get worn out in those grappling exchanges. Like that can't be your game plan. That's
Buddy,
the worst game plan."
nobody's gonna outwork any wrestler going through those Dagestani camps, man. Nobody.
Law, the thing is, Law already was a dude that don't get tired before that. Now, all that happened is he got more efficient at his style going there. It, I'm like, who who came up with this game plan? Like, if that was my coach, we getting in an argument right after, like right after the cameras go off. But JDM can catch him with a shot, but I got the law on this one.
Paul's just gonna take him down, grind it out, and yeah, decision all the way.
So we agree there. I'm taking this off our list. We more organized now with this list. I'm marking that off. Next up, Valentina Shevchenko versus Marion Farah.
I've been a big fan of Valentina Shevchenko for quite some time now, going all the way back to her kickboxing days. And every time she fights, it shows, because I'm like, dude, I don't think anybody can really beat her. Sans, Amanda Nunes, should not be in that weight class, to be honest, and she's way too big. And she got caught by Alexa Grasso in the ground game. But honestly, I think in this fight, I think she's going to get it done against Amanda Farrow, even if she has like a pretty grindy fight. I could see this going. I could see this ending in a knockout or TKO for Valentina.
Dude, this one's weird for me. I actually would not be surprised if Manon Farrow pulled an upset here. And I'm a Valentina lover. I watched her since kickboxing days, even when she was ducking my girl Marion Nakamoto back then. You know what I mean?
Marion, man.
But I don't know. Farrow, you got to remember, she comes from that little like karate, taekwondo, and then kickboxing background too. And with Valentina, when you talk about Grasso, you say she caught her in the ground game. That's kind of like half telling it, because she was actually getting beaten in the striking in that first fight, and then which led her to utilizing her grappling more, and eventually led to her losing. In the second fight, she and the third fight, she utilized her grappling more, because that tells you, and I'm a striker too. If you're utilizing your grappling, which is your secondary thing as a striker, then that means that something about the other person you're not comfortable with in your primary department. When you see Farrow, she hasn't experienced that yet. No one's outstruck her yet. You know what I mean? And her defensive stats are some of the best in the division. And I believe she's taller than Shevchenko and longer and bigger. When I saw her fight Blanchfield, who's a pretty physically dominant person, and Blanchfield was like sitting there in between rounds talking about like, oh, she's strong and all this stuff. I don't know if Valentina will just like, let's say she's getting outstruck or is kind of even. I don't know if she will be able to just take like Alexa Grasso. basically just gave up every takedown, right? I don't think it'd be that easy with Furrow because I think she shut down every single Blanchfield takedown, right? And I don't think it'd be that easy to just get her down like that. So it could just be a stand up fight, and that's anybody's game to me. So I could see Manon Furrow actually pulling it off. I'm gonna go with the upset on this one this time. I love Valentina, but I'm gonna go with the upset. And if she does win, I think it'll be by decision because she is much faster, you know. But I'm the upset. You got Valentina, man. You just want to hook up with her, dog, because she be doing that dance.
No, I'm trying to have her invite me to Thailand for that one time, you know?
So you said one of probably my favorite featherweight ever, Jose Aldo, and he fights the hobbies who whatever cousin, nephew, whoever it is, man.
Yeah, Eamon Zahabi versus Jose Aldo, man.
Losing.
He losing?
He ain't showed me anything close to that level. Not even level. I don't have nothing else to say. I don't have any the King of Rio. I don't have anything else to say on that.
I don't think there really is anything to say. I mean, we're talking about, like, hands down one of the absolute best uh, featherweights of all time against Zahabi, whose most notable opponent in like the past 5 years is probably Pedro Munoz, who I don't even think he's in the UFC anymore.
If he is or not, I like him, but he's probably the most talented guy that never gets the job done. Pedro Munoz, like it's just certain things about his game that expose him to losing these decisions. But I I don't see how Zahabi's winning. King, that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I need to say, D. The King of Rio. My man aged like fine wine, dog. You know what I mean? That's all I got to say about that. Unless you got something more to say.
Pretty much it for me, man. I mean, it's crazy that Jose Aldo came out of retirement to come back, but hey, if it's anything like that boxing match that he was part of, might be in for some crazy stuff happening. Who knows?
So we got up next that been announced. Kamaru Usman, Joaquin Buckley.
This is like a battle of new age versus, wouldn't say the old breed, but like relatively speaking, Usman's part of like the previous generation of really good welterweights. Like, if Usman is anything like we've known, he's renowned for his wrestling. He got really good striking, as we can see with like the how he pieced up Colby Covington, how he knocked out what's his name again? How he knocked out Masvidal. But we also got to talk about his recent losses to Leon Edwards, which some people will say it's a fluke. Who knows? People always get caught. And then Hamzat Chimaev, who, in my opinion, completely dominated him in like the ground game, which kind of raises questions about his current form, especially with his knees. If you haven't seen like recent interviews he's had on these podcasts, is like he has no knees, man. He can barely walk up and down the stairs. He has to go up and down backwards just to walk around. So I'm like, man, age is such a big factor, as well as like how long he's grinded out wrestling and how the taxing that is on the body. Then when he goes up against somebody like Buckley, who's young, athletic, kind of has a crazy gas tank, and strong, I think Joaquin Buckley is gonna handily win this one.
Yeah, so my take is similar but different. So, me being a fellow Nigerian and all, and I'm older than Usman. I don't never count age into it because I never think that's as big of a factor as it is. If you remember when Jerry Rice came back and he had better stats than all the young guys, you know what I mean? So, because we were going to talk about does age matter anyways, and I don't really think that it does as much as people think. It's what do you what is your strength training like? Is it detrimental to your body? Is it not? Do you change it up or has it plateaued? What surgeries have you had? Were they major? Were they minor? How many? What are your sparring rounds in the gym and how much are you being hit? How is your fighting style? Are you being hit a lot? Are you not? How many TKOs do you have? How many knockouts do you have? How many TKOs do you have in the gym? How many knockouts do you have in the gym? You know what I mean? Do you drink? Do you do drugs? Do you do HGH? Do you do steroids? I feel like it's a combination of all these factors that determine your age athletically, not your age. You know what I mean? Because and I'm just speaking myself, had major surgeries, as you know, and you're in the gym with me often. I still perform well athletically and vascular wise, and not even training that hard. I outperform a lot of people, and that's because my lifestyle mitigates a lot of the surgeries and things that I've had. Plus I haven't taken a lot of damage and stuff. And when you look at Usman, he's had a pretty clean career for the most part. I think the worst part about Usman, if you want to say age, athletic aging, is his knees, like you mentioned. Because Cormier, I don't think he ever would have lost the fight with Stipe if not for two things. He had the bad back, and then a lot of people don't know AK had shut down that one of those times, and he actually trained for one of those Stipe fights in his garage. So I think that not the bad back and being at AK Open, he would have never lost any fight to Stipe. That's just my belief. Cormier is that level of guy. And if you look, even with that stuff going on, he did well in those fights. With Edwards, yeah, the first time he dominated him, lightning struck. And the other time he just lost. And with Buckley, though, I feel if Usman had his knees and could actually shoot in, he would probably win this fight. What makes me have him not winning this fight is he has a good jab, but I don't feel his boxing is knowledge up to par in how to use your jab against the southpaw. Because I've always jabbed southpaws pretty easy because I was taught well, and I come from a boxing background. A lot of people who don't understand how to use the jab on the southpaw, so they don't use it at all. And I don't feel he's to that level, so that takes out his probably his best punch to me, his jab, and then he has a good right hand, right? But I he would just catch Buckley with that right hand. And Buckley's a pretty durable guy. He's faster than Usman. He's big and he's active. And activity has a lot to it plays a big factor. And Usman, yeah, he got dominated, like you said, versus in the grappling department versus Hamzat. But I actually don't hold it against him. To me, it makes him go up, which sounds weird, but the reason why it does is because if you look at Hamzat any other time, he's dominated people. Did he not finish them? He did. The only people that he dominated in the grappling department and did not just come out of there howling like a wolf was Burns and Usman. So to me, it tells something positive about Usman, not anything negative, and especially to be dominating grappling 2 rounds and then come back in the third round and damn near finish him on late notice. So to me, it credits him. So I don't think this is going to be an easy fight for Buckley, but I think with his speed, his activity, his durability, his takedown defense he showed against Covington, and his versatility of strikes, I think he's going to get it done. But I don't think Usman sits down for anybody easy. Yeah. But I think he's
An interesting fight. I think it's going to go multiple rounds for sure. Maybe it goes all the way to the end.
I think he could end up getting caught sooner or later, but it's dependent. If it's 5 rounds, yeah, I think he could. But he's a tough dude, man. He's a tough dude. It wouldn't surprise me if he pulled it out, but I think that if even if he was more active, I would lean more towards him. But when he's just sitting there being a fool on that podcast with Cejudo, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't know how much he's working in the gym, but I I don't like it. You know what I mean?
Helping his case for
They're analyzing more, and he was really just keeping his mind in the game. They just on there being some damn fools. But it's fun though. But we got up next Poirier Holloway 3.
and
Like the matchup, or would you prefer it to be something else?
like the matchup, but I feel like the Poirier's last fight, he should have been able to choose who he fought, right? Like that, and be able to, I guess, decide his own destiny. Because this fight doesn't really do anything for you.
Did he not pick Holloway? I thought he did.
I thought he picked one of the top guys before he picked Holloway.
I know he shot the BMF 4-man tournament to Dana White, which he should have done.
Because that would have been crazy.
He should have done.
I think the main thing is no athletic commission would authorize that these days.
When you got money, there's ways around everything. And here's the thing. Why here's why that's bullshit. They do shows outside the US. Anywhere outside the US would have sanctioned it. Gaethje, Holloway, Poirier, Hooker, one night tournament. Take my fucking money, dog. It should have been that. And I will tell you like this: do I think Poirier Holloway 3 will be a good fight? Yes. Am I excited to watch it? Yes. Do I like it as his last fight? No. If he had a singular last fight, it should have been Gaethje because they're 1-1 against each other.
Yeah, it would have ended it all.
Yeah, that's what it should have been. This one, for a dude he beat 2 times, it just makes no sense to me.
The main thing is like that he wants Dana White wants to, throw the gimmick out there and do BMF, right? The main reason why these two are fighting each other anyway is literally just because of the BMF belt. I don't think if Holloway didn't have this belt, he would not be fighting Poirier right now.
Might be right. You might be right. So I'm excited about it. I don't like it. Who you got winning this?
I could see actually Holloway coming out this with a decision. Like I don't see that this is gonna get finished because either one really hard to finish. Really hard to finish. Especially with what we saw Max do with Gaethje last fight. The game plan that he did going into that. I think that pairs up really well with how Dustin fights. They're all at this point, they're all like common opponents at this point. So in terms of the Max Camp's preparation, I think it would work out better for him.
I have Holloway winning because I actually think so. The first time they fought at lightweight, Holloway basically fought him as a featherweight, which is different than when he took time to bulk up to lightweight to fight Gaethje. You see how much better he performed. I actually think if you look at things physiologically, that bulking up to fight Gaethje and then having to lose all that to get back to 45 when he already was a person that had trouble making 45 is part of what contributed to his loss of durability, which contributed to his loss to Ilia Topuria. Because Holloway is chronically known as a big cutter at 45, right? And that was before the bulk up. And he had trouble making that to 45. Remember, he didn't even want to do 45 anymore when he did that. And I feel like you bulked up. Once you bulk up, I don't want back down. And he bulked up, then went back down when he didn't want to. And it is just something about the Gaethje curse when you fight him and the amount of damage you can take, even though Holloway took less, that you need some time off. If you don't, it's never it never goes good. Like Tony Ferguson just never went well. And I feel like he he shouldn't have even did that. If he fought Poirier, he should have been like, let's do 55. But I feel like him, even with that knockout loss at 55, he's gonna do well enough to pull it off against Dustin. Yeah. I think he's gonna have the plan and everything like he did with Gaethje. I agree with that. So I'm with you, dog. I got Holloway. But we got to talk about your little homies now. We got Marab O'Malley too. Let me just let me just start off and say I fucking hate it.
Not a good matchup by any means. I think there were way better things to do within bantamweight than this, I would say.
I hate it. You know what I mean? I absolutely hate it. This is the entertainment part that I'm talking about. Like, there's just sometimes they can't hide shit. Like, they can't hide that they want McGarry to be the champ. I remember back in the days, though I love them, they wanted Uriah Faber to be the champ. They wanted Holly Holm to be the champ. You know what I mean? They want O'Malley to be the champ. They wanted Chandler to be the champ. When you see people get undeserved opportunities over and over that either is making them the number, like, oh, you're coming off a loss, but fight this next fight, you're number one contender. Or, oh, you're coming off of a loss, but fight this next fight is the belt. Over and over, like some of these people, I'm like, dude, can you even hide your agenda? Like better. There's no reason this guy should fight. He got he got shut out. You know what I mean? And then who did he even beat after that?
Sean O'Malley. I mean, the last time he fought was just Morocco.
Yeah, that makes even less sense. That's why I was like, fight anybody. So you lose to Marab, do nothing, and then get to fight him again.
A unanimous decision too. So
Yeah, if I was in the UFC, I don't give a fuck about the top 10. I'm just gonna try to sit at home like Chael Sonnen and try to think of the coolest shit to say that gets a buzz, and then I'm the number one contender. There is no true ranking. That proves it. Because there's other people who are fighting that didn't even get their shot, and then like this guy just gets to get put in. Makes no sense.
I really think rushing Marab through this entire process. Like, I don't understand how Marab needs to fight twice in a year against, honestly, people that haven't done shit. Like, I'm looking at this bantamweight list right now. Piotr Jan hasn't fought in a while. Umar, Marab beat the shit out of him. Sean O'Malley, number one. We just talked about it. Sanhagen just fought. Figueiredo just fought. And the rest of this list is either Song Yadong, who lost, Marlon Vera, who lost pretty badly, and Rob Font.
And what you do is let Marab chill and let Sanhagen chill a little while, and then put Sanhagen versus Marab.
That's what I would do, honestly.
And that's what you do. That's what you do. Why are we fighting O'Malley again? Does anybody think it's going to play out any differently?
It's not going to go any more interesting than it did last fight. I'm not going to lie. Like, O'Malley looked like shit when he fought Marab, and most people look like shit when they fight Marab because Marab is that guy.
They're just hoping he gets that shot off, which he always can, but I just don't see it.
I mean, if you're only if your only weapon is to look for that right cross, like it's very one-dimensional. It's not like he's any better on the ground, and no one Rob on the ground, as we can see with Umar as well.
If you're out grappling Umar, no one's touching you in a division. We're not grappling.
Chance.
You know, and he's like, stop smoking weed in video games and all that. This motherfucker making himself worse. That's like Goku just fighting somebody saying I ain't going Super Saiyan. He might as well just smoke weed and came up with new and creative ways to fight him or something, man. He just like you don't detriment the stuff you do to relax in order to try to do better. Maybe the smoking weed thing, but like if video games is how you relax and stuff and you're training hard, keep playing the games. Like it makes no sense.
And this will play into like a conversation we're gonna have later in this pod, where like the trend of where UFC stars are going towards, and how the UFC decides to market them. Right, like in my opinion, I feel like the only reason Sean O'Malley got this fight is because he's popular to the kids, and pretty much from that like 18 to maybe 25, 26-year-old age.
We were Snoop. That's what started it. And then he looked like a clown. Like, you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, the guy's talented, but fucking with Tim Welch and all that shit, man, he need to come holler at FA fine systems, man, get put right. You know what I mean? That's what he need to do. He you gotta have a coach that be like, hey dog, we need to work on this shit. I don't think that's it. So we both got Marab. Um, let's talk yo lover boy, Zabit. I'm seeing him all over the news now.
Beat,
I'm seeing him all over.
dude,
He was just
good.
Jeff.
He looks good.
Hey,
All that time. Hey,
I'm,
all that time being off,
I'm ready
and he's a doctor. That boy definitely been training.
to surgically take people apart, dog.
Yeah, dude.
I want him to train with. This is what my dream is. The beat coming back. Half of his camp is with Habib and them, and half he go back with Ray Longo and them, so I can get Matt Sierra, Ray Longo in the corner talking shit. That's what I want. Zabit with Ray Longo and Sierra in the corner talking shit. He can't be beat. He can't be beat.
I want that so bad.
Fresh off, never stop training.
I mean, it shows. I mean, those videos that we watched like recently, holy crap, man! As sharp as it can get, and painting his striking directly into submissions. I'm like, this dude come back, he's gonna be top 5 in no time.
Yeah, instant. And if he get that Nurmagomedov wrestling,
Impossible to beat.
hey, that's all I gotta say, dog. I said what I want with Zabit. That's all I talk about with that. But what else we gonna talk? We gotta talk about y'all boy Bo Nickel. Who did, be honest, who did you pick in that fight? Because I picked beforehand RDR winning.
I had DeRitter winning.
Me too.
Because I feel like DeRitter was the perfect guy to pick by the UFC to really challenge Bo Nickel where he's at in his career, right? Because if all you people know, DeRitter ain't a new guy to this. For he was fighting one.
Yeah.
One, he was a killer.
2 division champ and 1. I believe his record is 20-2. And actually, I think the UFC fucked up. Here's what I think. DeRitter is predominantly what? A jiu-jitsu guy, right? So I thought that they thought that Bo was going to use his wrestling and grind out the jiu-jitsu guy. I think they underestimated DeRitter's other grappling prowess, like his wrestling, his judo. I think they fucked up there. And then he got stuck on the feet, and I know they were like, shit, we didn't think this was gonna happen.
To the feet, I don't think Bo Nickel is on anybody's level up there in that weight class right now.
I don't think that Bo Nichols should be in the UFC. No, here's the thing: it's not even the hate. I think when people come from that, to me, having fought most combat sports and trained everything, the one that I wish I would have started when I was young is wrestling. You know what I mean? I would have picked Greco-Roman personally because I love that, but I wish I would have wrestled since I was young. It's the hardest of all the sports, and it's the most dominant of all the sports in MMA. But so I think that he has a good upside, but I feel like you can't fucking like go into a stormy sea on a rowboat. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's what's happening with him in the UFC. I feel like he needs to take his rowboat to other shows and then start to build on the boat so it's a bigger ship and then go back to the stormy sea of the UFC. Because trying to learn there, like, is not good. When you look at other people in that middleweight division, I just don't feel like he's gonna beat them. You know what I mean?
I mean, do you think he's reached the cap of what he can do in the UFC at this point? Because like we look at his record here. Dana White Contender Series 2 times, 2 submissions against probably nobody's. Jamie Pickett submission by arm triangle, and then recently he beat Paul Craig to unanimous decision and sub Cody Brundage. think I think Bo Nickel probably should be in the UFC. He should be in the UFC, honestly. But the way that they built him up was ass, as we've seen with a lot of different like hyped up fighters in the UFC. They give him too big of a name, too fast, and I feel like that's what happened here. Renner de Ritter is not by no means no pushover. I don't think anybody else like what is this? This is what, middleweight? Yeah, I'm looking at his middleweight right now. Renner de Ritter is number 13, right? Do we think that Bo Nickel's better than Marvin Vettori? I don't think so. Do I think better than Kopilov? I don't think so. I don't think that Bo Nickel should be fighting anybody in the top 15.
Exactly. But see, that's what makes my point, D. Because now that's what makes my point that he shouldn't be in the UFC. So we both agree that he probably wouldn't beat most of anybody in the top 15. So now you have two choices: put him out the UFC to get the experience, or you keep him in the UFC and keep bringing in new guys for him to fight, or giving him lesser guys. Does that hurt his career or help it? It hurts it, because then all the fans are going to say, what? Why is he fighting this guy? Why is he fighting this nobody? Why is he fighting this nobody? And that's just going to hurt his brand. Because me personally, if Bo Nickel's in the UFC, I don't want to see him fighting the middleweights that I know he's going to beat. I'm going to be like, what the fuck are you doing? And then if they bring in some new guy that I don't know, I'm going to be like, what the fuck are you doing? So then it's just going to make me have this hatred towards Bo Nickel, who has nothing to do with his matchups, but I'm going to blame him. I think let him go outside of the public eye, get the experience, and bring him back. Because, like we both agreed, he can't. We don't think he's going to beat most people in the top 15. So now you're putting him in this spot to draw ire from people, and MMA fans suck anyways, or to fight people he's probably going to lose to. He didn't even look like a bad fighter to me in that fight. He looked like a new fighter to me in that fight, which he is. You know what I mean?
Which is crazy and kind of annoying that like after every single fight he's had in UFC, he's like, "Oh, I wasn't okay with that performance. I think I could always be better. I think I fight at a way higher level than this, and I'll get better next fight." And he just never got better.
You know why that is, though? Let me tell you, when you're in the training camp, your predominant goal is what? What's your predominant focus?
Work against develop a game plan for your opponent, and then sharpen up your skills.
No, your predominant focus in a training camp, the first part you have right, you have to get ready for a specific opponent. But then is the key thing is you have to get ready, right? So you're focused on getting your physicality as high as it can to perform. There's no time to work skills in a training camp. You work skills outside of a training camp. Bo Nickel, he isn't a guy that like has these huge spaces like a year off between fights. He's getting very little time to work on his skills. And then you have to think about it. If he has a family, he's not always going to be at the gym. He's going to spend time with his family. He want to do this. He want to do that. So a lot of the time, let's say it's 4 months, 5, 6 months between the fight, 5 months. All that 5 months isn't in the gym for most people. You're doing other shit and then probably getting in the gym sometimes. You know what I mean? So there's very few guys who live in a gym like Floyd Mayweather or GSP did or Demetrius Johnson and things like that. So it's very harmful to a person's career. I think he should just not be in the UFC right now. They put some other guys out like what's his name? Yusuf Zalal. They put him out a little while and then brought him back. I think do something like that. Don't even take away his contract. Just say, hey, go do a few fights outside. So my personal opinion on the dude. But you know what I want to talk about? What's going on with Ian Gary?
Before that, I'll use the restroom real quick. I'll be right back.
I'm gonna work on this while you go. Water break, guys. So tell me, Ian Gary is a backup. Agree or disagree?
I agree. Ian Gary should be the backup for this fight. One, who else is ready at this point?
Ugly, dog.
Well,
You
Buckley got a
dog. Huh?
fight coming up, and he's
Never. You. It's all a game, dog. You gotta. It's all a game. They put Buckley in the fight he asked for so that he won't be salty that he not the backup. The fight, put it like this, D. The fight's this damn Saturday. They could have put in Buckley as the backup, and then if he don't ain't needed, then announce the Usman fight.
I mean, that's true too. But I feel like they jumped the gun then on the Usman versus Buckley fight.
Why would he be a backup?
It's done this before where it's like, we need a backup, we're gonna cancel your fight if we need a backup.
Ian lost to Shavkat, almost got knocked out by Pratis in a boring ass fight, and then now all of a sudden he's the backup for the title shot. And let me just tell you, on the record, I'm gonna say, let's say Bilal gets hurt and he fights JDM. I put JDM beating Ian, and let's say JDM gets hurt and he's fighting Bilal. I got Bilal beating Ian. I got both of them beating him. Who do you see Ian beating? Who do you see if Ian fought Bilal? Who you got?
It's Ian and Bilal. I'll probably say Bilal, just based off of grappling alone. Forget about striking, but just grappling alone, Bilal's winning that. I think with JDM, I think it'd be a closer fight.
It'd be a closer fight in the sense of a Prates type of thing where he's running and shooting. But you have to remember, JDM it is a boxer type approach. He's not as plotting as Prates is. And you remember when Prates started putting pressure on him, Ian started taking them shots and it wasn't going well. You can't take those shots. Like Prates got a heavy left hand. JDM is just heavy handed, period. And he's way more versatile in his punches. If you see the way he goes body to head and stuff, Ian ain't taking them shots, dog. And put it like this: if JDM had Ian in the position practice did. Do you see? I mean, Gary in the position practice did. Do you see him surviving? JDM wouldn't have let him off the hook, dog. That
You
dude
cannot play
sharp.
off. You
He's a
definitely
sharp
play
once he
off
hurt.
back against JDM.
Yeah, once he hurts you, it's done, dog. He's going for the. He's like, no, 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 no. It's over. It would have. I could see him knocking out Gary, and Gary doesn't look like the most durable dude to me. When he gets hit, he looks hell of affected by.
I mean, it really depends on the game plan at this point, right? Like, if he wants to play dumb, try to take somebody who doesn't really get taken down on the ground that much, and try to play that game where it's like, I'm gonna play off my back. You could try to hit me. I'm gonna try to submit you. He's gonna get knocked out. I think if he sticks to the game plan of staying long, using your striking to get in close, or like using your striking to keep him away and mixing multi-level strikes, I think you can make it a very good fight.
I don't think it would be a good fight. I think it would be a boring fight like practice was. I think what he would do to JDM, like stick, move when he gets too close, shoot in. But if you look at it, JDM is better in the grappling than practice is, and he's better in the hands than practice is. So and he's not going to sit there and chill like he smoked a pack of cigarettes like practice. You know what I mean? Even though that's my boy from Thailand, he took too long. He was too lackadaisical in that fight. If he would have played it more aggressive, think about it. If he would have played it more aggressive in round 1, 2, or 3, like he did in 4 and 5, he would have won. You know, and JDM ain't gonna sit there letting you breathe like that. I don't know what dudes to back up personally, but
It's that point fighting mentality.
yeah, I hate it. I feel like Nello after this weekend when he was like, I hate those type of fighters. You know what I mean? That's why I learned so much about boxing people in when I was boxing and stuff because I always hated it since a kid, you know. But speaking of boxing people in boxing versus UFC, we saw his name is slipping my goddamn mind. The boxing promoter, the one from England. I don't know why it slipped my mind, but he was saying the UFC has no stars.
Eddie Hearn.
Eddie Hearn, and then it's weird because shortly after Buckley said the UFC has no stars. What do you feel about that statement?
UFC only has stars if Dana White wants them to be a star.
Taking that statement, apply it to now. What do you feel they have stars right now?
If they weren't flying under the UFC banner, I don't think they'd be stars.
When I listen to him make that statement, I say it's 95% true. And the reason why I say that, when I love old school shit. When I think about old school MMA, Fedor was a star. Nogueira was a star. Krokop was a star. Norifumi Yamamoto was a star. Hayato Sakurai in Japan was a star. Takanori Gomi was
Why?
a star. Randy Couture was a star. Like, dude, it was like New York Badass was a star. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, whoa, it's not like that right now. Quentin Jackson was a star.
I
When,
think with those old guys, right? With the old breed, the reason why they were stars is that the people that used to watch UFC were huge martial arts guys, right? And all these names were really good doing their perspective, like their respective martial arts, and then they all came together at the same exact time to be in the UFC to fight each other. So we
weren't even in UFC. They were in Pride, and people, even UFC fans, knew about him and loved him. You know what I mean? Like,
it's a change of demographics of people that watch UFC now. You have the purists like you and me who watched it from the beginning and even before that, and watch all these guys in their careers even before the UFC. And then you have the couch watchers. They just sit there every weekend. It's like, I could do that. Why are they getting up? He could just walk. He could just stand up, man. Right? So the dynamics have changed to like Dana White wants to appeal to a wider audience. Therefore, he has to build stars himself that kind of like, all right, who's bringing in this type of demographic? Like what we were seeing with O'Malley. He's bringing in kids. He's bringing in like teens that don't give a shit about nothing, but they just like to watch people scrap and shit like that. And that's just not conducive for like building really big name stars, right? Like their peak hit with Conor McGregor, and we all know how that went. But the main difference here between the UFC and boxing is that boxing builds individuals. They play off of individual star power, whereas the UFC, I don't give a shit who you are. UFC is at the top first, and then it's you.
You know who the biggest star in UFC is?
Right now, or like all time.
Of all, like pretty much of all time, it's Dana White. He's more known than every fighter. Right.
Everybody
That,
knows White.
that's the problem. And I will tell you like this. I agree. It don't have too many stars. Here's the funny thing: the UFC has some great fighters that don't make you a star. Like when you look at stars, Makachev is a star for the same reason John Jones is a star because of how dominant they are. Right? That level of dominance makes you big. You got O'Malley a star because he appeals to little retarded ass kids. Right? So that makes him a star. As good as Marab is, he's not a star. When Adesanya was a star because he had that aura and that swag. Hamzat is a star because he's eating fucking people like lunch and his dominance. If you really think about these other guys, besides who I just named, who else would you think count as a star? Maybe Gaethje and Poirier to an extent because they bring sheer violence. No, there's never been anything like that. And I will tell you, like the closest second is Adesanya because he was doing interests that like nobody ever did and all this other shit. You know what I mean? Like nobody. But like I said, if you look at stars right now, you have three of them that are only like, if we can even count them as stars, like where everybody's like, I gotta tune in. Is Makachev, Hamzat, and John Jones because of dominance. Dominance always like Floyd Mayweather. Even though he fought boring, everybody watched because he's so dominant. So you have those guys. You have O'Malley because he appeals to little retards. And that's it. That's it. You have a lot of other good fighters, don't get me wrong. And I don't even think it's just UFC's fault because they do choose who they want to promote and everything like that. But guess what they don't choose? They don't choose what the fuck you say on that mic. They don't what you say to MMA Junkie or MMA Mania or Bloody Elbow or anything. You could make yourself a star. Chael Sonnen did. You know what I mean? I remember when Chael Sonnen was like, dude, you get that mic and that's your chance to do it. But if you look at these guys, they're like, who you want to fight next? Oh, whoever the UFC tells me, whoever Dana White tells me. Oh, you don't have any names in mind? No, I don't have any names in mind. You know what I mean? God save my Lord and Savior. But I'm like, dude, you guys sound the fucking same. This shit is boring. So they ruin it for themselves too. Yeah, the UFC's part to blame, but they ruin it for themselves. That's why there's no stars. You know what I mean? Like boxing, yeah, like you said, they build individuals. But then even when you see that, you can have individuals who are stars have a shitty weekend. You know what I mean? Like this last weekend in boxing. But I I agree, they mostly don't have stars. Back in the days, man, there were just guys that I would watch them and stars were in my eyes. Like I was like, yeah, I can't wait. Yeah. It's not like that anymore, dude. It's not like that.
It changes. It just changes when money is involved, or like money becomes more important than the sport itself. Not with the fighters, but with
because of the money.
promoter. When the promoter cares more about the money and the reach, that waters down the rest of like the fighting and all of that. So
that's why it's entertainment now, because the entertainment brings money. But speaking of stars, Adesanya said he wants to fight Strickland for a second time to avenge his inner child, and he training with the man of all men, Dave Goggins. What's your thoughts? I say don't do it.
I like that fight.
No, take a few. You deserve a few tune-ups. In boxing be smarter, dog. If somebody didn't do well, they don't mind giving a fighter a tune-up. Take a tune-up.
Jumping straight in there when Sean Strickland's only thoughts recently was like, I want a title fight. I want a title fight. I deserve a title fight. And he wants to get back in there. Meanwhile, Adesanya's been taking it a little chill after his last fight.
That's the second loss of your career.
Exactly.
Boxing or MMA. Because people gonna be like, oh, well, you got stopped by Potan in UFC. That was a TKO. I mean, knocked out. That's only the second time in his kickboxing or MMA career he's been knocked out. You know, like, chill out, take a tune-up or two. You deserve it. Like, and then fight Strickland again. Get your swag back. Chill out. This is where I'd be mad at coaches. Like, are you not telling these motherfuckers, like, chill? That's how Volkanovski ended up getting knocked out twice in a row. Chill out.
You need something that kind of rebuilds your confidence, right? Especially off of two fights where one in the Drickus fight, he was
He looked good.
like,
He looked good. He looked good.
He looked good as a slight underdog, and then fighting against Nasruddin Imavov, he was by far the favorite, and he lost by TKO, man. You need something in between to get your confidence back, because what's going to happen if you lose to Strickland again? Are you done?
He already said Strickland beat up his inner child. So what happens if he goes and finishes off that inner child? You know, like, and that's just not a guy that's good to do a comeback fight on. He's out of his fucking mind. You can't go fight a dude that's out of his mind for a comeback fight, because you're back in with like doubts and all this stuff, and he's just coming in on some straight crazy, oddly political, semi-racist, part self-loathing. Like, he's coming in off of some crazy shit, dude. You can't.
Roid rage type.
Yeah, don't do it. Like, don't do it. I don't like that. And then Dave Goggins, like, I'm not sure that kind of training is good for MMA.
It's like, I don't think he did it for the physical aspect. It's more like getting through that mental wall.
Let me tell you something. If
Of like,
Dave Goggins for a minute, I'm going to talk to the motherfucker. Why I don't need to do his physical shit. He was doing his physical shit and throwing up. If I need the mental aspect, I'm gonna just be like, hey, let's go out and holler, brother. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna go do the exercises you doing. So I think you're going to him for more than just the mental aspect. You don't have to do the physical shit to get the mental shit. Like, people are confused, like, oh, well, he needs the mental so he could push himself in his mind. No, just holler at me. That's why GSP went to the sports psychologist, right? They didn't do anything physical. They just talked to him.
That's why
Aaron spoke to him. I think he can do well. But that physical shit, I just think that the modality behind it is so different than what you need for MMA.
gonna do more harm than good, and it really plays into that high testosterone type shit that Joe Rogan keeps spewing on his fucking podcast, where it's like, oh yeah, if you want to be a hard man, you gotta do hard work. And like, there's some truth to that, but at the same time, you gotta take care of what the fuck you're thinking of, and you can't just fucking work that off.
So I don't know. That's all I say about that. I know you wanted to discuss the featherweight division with your boy Vote back on top.
Back on top once again, right? He's not getting any younger. What is he, like 36, right?
35, 36.
So realistically, my dude's got maybe three fights left in the tank, I would say.
What? How you just tell me how you just gauge that? Just gauge
Averaging like one fight a year. By the time he's hitting that fourth fight, he'll be 40.
doing one fight a year?
I'm just saying that's like the trajectory that sometimes that the UFC does, right? Like if you're young, they'll throw you to the fishes and make you fight maybe like twice or three times a year. But if you're like an old head and you need time to prepare and shit like that, they're gonna be like, "We're gonna make you fight one time this year," or like
I thought
with like twice within a 12-month period, but there's like 8 to 10 months in between. I don't think they're gonna rush Volkanovski to fight again this year until like maybe December.
you know he liked to stay busy, and when you have the champ, you have a little bit more pull. That's why Potan was fighting so much. He was a champ. He was like, "Let me fight, let me fight." Him and Izzy were probably the busiest champs ever. Potan and Izzy, they was like, "Let me get in there," and I respect that about them both.
He is about too is like he doesn't take much damage in his fights.
Like, I think he got more than 3 fights left.
Like, let's be a little more liberal and say maybe five.
Say 5, 6, yeah,
Who would
6. You know what I mean?
Lopez again?
I think he's gonna end up fighting Lopez a second time. Who else?
Sar Evloev.
Yeah, that's 2 fights. So you think about it. I think Yair could work his way back. I think he's gonna have Diego's definitely gonna work his way back. Mozart should get the next shot, and I actually think Pitbull's gonna work his way up. I think Yair was the worst matchup in that division for Pitbull, and I think Pitbull is gonna do well and work his way back up, and they're gonna fight. So yeah, maybe I say 4 or 5 fights because after that he don't have nobody else.
Like sooner rather than later, right? Because he's not that young either.
Yeah, and then hey, and then if Zabit come back soon,
That's what I was wanting to get into. Like, if Zabit comes back, what would be a good first matchup for him?
here
Yair, straight off the bat?
straight off the bat, straight off the bat.
Ring rust is a thing.
Hey, straight
Ring
up.
rust is crazy.
Because the thing is, you got to think about it. You got to give him somebody way up there. They ain't gonna give him. They're gonna give Zabit a top 5.
I think that he should fight Aljamain.
They'll fight Ultraman. They're from the same team.
Yeah, Ray Longo. What the hell?
Yeah.
Okay, Lerone Murphy, Josh Emmett, just like one tune-up fight. Give him a tune-up fight in the top 10, and then from there, you can do whatever you want.
Top 10, dog. I'm telling you, with that level of hype and that record, he getting the top 5. So who's in the top 5 right now? Tell me.
Max, which I don't think he's coming back to featherweight anytime soon. Diego Lopez, Evloev, Yair, Arnold Allen. Because I'm not going to count Ilya in this. I'm not going to count Holloway in this. And then
So you named 4. Who else? One more. Ryan Ortega. So out of those, I'm giving him Yair. If I got to give him a top 5, I'm giving him the most exciting one. I'm giving him Yair, dog. Out of those, I want to think about it. If I told you the beat back, oh, who's he fighting? Angel, Arnold Allen. You're gonna be like, if I go the beat back, who's he fighting? Yair. You're gonna be like, what? You feel me? If you're giving him somebody in the top 5, which they're gonna give him, his record's too good, the hype's too high. Give him the one that's gonna excite. Give him Yair. Dude, they both tall and lanky, and ain't nobody trying to go to the ground, dog.
striking's insane between the boot.
Yeah, between the two of them, give that Yair. Dana White, holla at me to be a matchmaker, dog. You feel me?
So for Volk, Diego Lopez, Evloev, Zabit.
Uh-huh.
I don't think Brian Ortega is going to make this.
To get back in there, and Pitbull can. So I say 5, 6 fights, Volk should be done. Fight those people and be out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But hey, speaking of some funk, what's up with Usman Bilal, dog? They need to release that podcast. So Bilal said that he came out with an interview, and it sounds so Usman like. He said that the reason they almost got into it is like Cejudo was talking to him about being a champ and all this stuff, and for no reason, Usman started talking about how he was a champ, and Bilal was like, "Well, wait, you're not a champ anymore. We're talking about me." And then Usman starts going, "Whatever you do, I could do better." Blah 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 blah. And then he was like, "Well, you couldn't block the head kick better." And then Usman got salty. And when you listen to that story and you think about other Usman interviews, he always says in the interview how he's a better version of Bilal. So it sounds like something that probably played out just like that, dog. Dudes on the podcast, let him have his moment. Why are you talking about when you used to be champ? Actually, if Bilal fought Usman, I have Bilal winning. Yeah, I have Bilal winning, actually. You know what I mean? Like, I think it'd be a good fight, but I have Bilal winning. So I don't know. That one was kind of weird, but you get back to the funk round. What's up with Sarukian? My man said he funking with the UFC itself. They offered him Gamrot Part 2.
He didn't want it.
No, I wouldn't want it either, dude. I'm the number one contender. Why am I fighting a dude? Wait, that don't even make sense.
Have him fight Islam, though, even though, there's rumblings that both Islam and Ilya Topuria has fights coming up.
I think they're tricking people. I don't think they're fighting each other.
Will be that Armin, Islam, and then we'll have Ilya probably fight Charles Oliveira.
Give me, I tell you like this. Do Oliveira, Ilya, or Gaethje Ilya. I don't care which one. And then give me Arman Makachev too, because I was intrigued by that. Because he gave Makachev hella trouble on that short notice. I want to see what they both do against each other full camp all these years later when they both got better. I'm intrigued by that matchup because he never fights another wrestler like that. So I'm intrigued by that matchup. And then give dude, I don't think he deserves the shot right off the bat. Volk, see, here's the thing. People try to act like similar is the same, and I hate that. They say, oh, well, Volk got the shot off the bat. He wiped out the division. He should get the shot off the bat. This dude beat don't get me wrong, he beat the two best of the division, but there was still hella people he didn't fight. You don't get to not fight hella people, go up and get an automatic shot. I would be okay if he beat the number 2 contender, because I don't think you should fight the number 1 contender. Number 1 contender should be fighting for the belt. If you beat the number 2 contender, okay, and that would be Charles right now, because the person challenging was going to be Armand, so give him Charles. That's what I say.
Honestly, the best matchups we can think of for lightweight right now.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. But there's some lightweights coming up like that Ignacio guy, that tall ass lightweight, and Joe Alvarez, another tall ass lightweight. I'm excited to see a couple of these guys doing that. But that was everything we had on our list, man. So we got to be closing out. This was a good show. Let them know where they can reach you at.
Man, on Instagram, san.derrick, DERRICK. That's where you can find me. If not, you know how it is. 209. Best gym in 209? Probably. Best coaches in 209? Probably. Best program in 209? Absolutely. So come to Open Mat Academy, Tracy, California.
You already know, find me, Phone Ninja 510 on Instagram, Goon Squad MMA, you know what I mean? Home of Greg Blackson, aka Dom Rogan, aka Timothy Jr. You feel me? Hey, come holla. The best coaches ain't the best coaches like y'all think. Come holla, come see the program at Tracy Mall at Open Mat Academy. We got it inside of there. Trust me, if they need a career to get going or a resurgence, come holla. There ain't no greater mind than this right here. You know what I mean? But tap in, and we are out.